Now, one of my absolute favorite videos to do is commenting on your answers to the questions I post. I post every now and then a question and I'm expecting your answer. They're always interesting. They always teach me something about you, about the way you see things. Many times you comment, you see something that I haven't seen, and I really appreciate that. It's a nice way to understand where we're all standing as a community.
Hi guys and welcome to the channel. If this is your first time to the channel, we're talking about points, credit, bonuses, and travel. Why do I need to say that? I would like to say something smarter. Like what's smart about credit cards?
No.
We're talking about points, credit cards, bonuses, and travel. If this is something that interests you, please like this video, subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I will get back to you as soon as I can.
Bravo.
The first question was, if I had to have one of these credit cards for the rest of my lives, would be, that's obviously luxury credit cards, Hilton Aspire, Amex Platinum, Venture X, Sapphire Reserve, City Premier, and by far the Amex Platinum and the Venture X have the most votes. 33% for the Platinum, 34% for the Venture X. I honestly don't understand where you're coming from with the Venture X. I mean, I do. It's a very straightforward credit card. It has a low annual fee comparing to the Platinum. It's easy to offset it by traveling just once a year. But other than that, there's not a lot of potential, and certainly it's not more luxurious than an Amex Platinum, even though you know how I feel about Amex lately. If it was my money though, I would go for the Hilton Aspire any day of the week because the Aspire always makes sense. We did the math before. We see how the Aspire is by far the better credit card, but at the same time is very specific on its use case scenario. You have to be a Hilton fan. Otherwise, it's not going to work for you. So I would go with the Hilton Aspire. I understand why you go with the Amex Platinum, but the Venture X, I guess I understand that too. Sapphire Reserve, City Premier, Sapphire Reserve, I mean, it's way due for a nice upgrade. And then the City Premier just doesn't compete. It's just what City offers right now. It doesn't have a luxury option, unfortunately, for the past couple of years. If I had to keep one of these for the rest of my lives, it would be, we're going on the no annual fee now, Discover It, City Custom Cash, Chase Freedom Flex, Amex Blue Cash Every Day, and other. Comment which. Chase Freedom Flex by far 45% is number one. The second is Amex Blue Cash Every Day, and third is the City Custom Cash. As a standalone credit card, I would always go with the City Custom Cash just because it gets 5x on what I spend the most. The Amex Blue Cash Every Day has 3x on almost everything, but at the same time, it's a cash credit card, a cashback credit card. So I wouldn't go with it just because it's only like cash back. The Chase Freedom Flex as a standalone credit card is very good, but it's even better as a trifecta, or at least if you pair it with a Sapphire card. So you can transfer to Hyatt or any other company that you like. So yeah, I can see why Chase Freedom Flex is number one. But as a standalone credit card, I would personally go with the City Custom Cash. The collapse of the banks worries me 51%, means nothing to me 49%. And for me personally, it means something, but it doesn't worry me. There was a big trend of collapsing banks a couple of months ago, and this is where this question was coming from. You can say it means nothing to me because everything is affected. In many cases, banks are saved by government, so it could affect you. It could affect your finances, even if government was not involved, which in this case was not involved. There were direct buys from other banks, but at the same time, if something goes very bad, you could lose a lot of your money, especially if you have a lot in US banks. Research shows that there's no significant gains in happiness with salary over 100,000 a year, individual income. That's correct, 42%, that's wrong, 58%, and it depends where you live. I would say that's wrong, but like in very specific locations. I would say San Francisco would be one, San Diego would be one, New York City. But for most cases, individual 100,000 is pretty decent. You're not gonna be buying cars and flying with private jets, but you will cover all your bills. You will have, go to restaurants every now and then, and maybe have a nice international trip every year. Nothing to brag about, honestly, but it's not bad, depending where you are, of course. Do you have a health insurance policy? Absolutely 85%. Not too expensive, 15%. That 15% is too much. The whole healthcare insurance in this country is just a little annoying to me, coming from a country that has universal healthcare, and you don't need to worry about these things. You go to a hospital, you get very decent treatment, and you pay with your taxes. So you go to pharmacies, you get whatever you need at very low prices. I remember the first time I came here, I had my newborn. She was sick. I went to the pharmacy to get the syrup for her, and they needed a specific number for my pharmacy policy, I guess. I couldn't find it immediately, so I said, "How much is it?" And it was $450 for that syrup. I freaked out. I started making calls. I found that number. I gave it to them. Finally, I ended up paying $7.50. I thought that was absurd. If I was somebody with no health insurance, that would mean suffer for my family, and that's just bad. That shouldn't happen. Business credit cards make sense only if you have business. 17% makes sense regardless, as long as I get value. 83%, 100% makes sense as long as I get value. I have plenty of business credit cards that you have. I used to have more with Amex. I don't anymore, but I have the Ink credit cards and I love them. Are you going on vacation this summer? Yes, within the US, 51%. Yes, overseas, 29%. No, 20%. Personally, yes, overseas as usual. My wife as usual. But most of you travel within the US, which we will see later how that affects the budget that you typically have for travel. The debt card ceiling should increase at any cost to avoid default, 43%, increase but only with budget cuts, 29%, and then stay where it's at with budget cuts, or stay where it's at even if it means default, 19 and 9%. That was at the time when we were talking about the debt ceiling. I think that the US government spends a lot. I think that there should be budget cuts. We got used to easy money that created this inflation. It's been at least 3-4 years now. 3 years since COVID that we start getting a lot of money. We start cutting dollars, like we put the printer on and we keep printing. And this created this mess we are right now. Home increases in this area that I live, Washington, D.C., about 100%. 100%. Cars are up, like used cars, like 20-30% in this area. But guess what? Salaries increased 3-4%. So I think that's terrible. It creates inequalities. We need to start cutting on costs. And not only because of inflation, but for many other things, we spend money for things that we shouldn't. I'm not trying to get any political here. I'm just saying. My average travel budget is under 2,000, 42%, under 5,000, 42%. So most of you are under 5,000 and many of you are under 2,000. So that's where we're going back to where you're traveling. Most of you travel within the US, so this budget is sufficient. If you travel internationally, depending on the destination, 5,000 could barely cover the cost of the tickets. Passive income, easy 5%, hard but doable 78%, and myth 17%. Based on personal experience, I think it's a myth. There's no passive income in the sense that you don't do anything. You wake up in the morning, you make your coffee, you travel, and there's money coming in your bank. It might happen for a day or two, a week or two, but long term, you need to keep doing something. Now, many you don't need to put physical labor. Maybe you don't need to go physically somewhere, but picking up the phone, answering to a question, making a decision, making a YouTube video, doing whatever is still work. It takes time, it takes brain capacity. So yeah, it's still work. I think it's a myth, depending of course your definition of passive income. Account cancellations without warning are justified regardless the situation, 7%. Justified if there's no compliance after warning, 64%. unjustified, regardless they issue 29%. That I posted this one when Amex canceled all my credit cards. Justified, if there's no compliance after warning, is my personal pick. I think that you deserve at the very minimum a warning, and if you don't comply, then fine. But I love that 7%. I saw it also in the answers, like in the comments, every 10 comments, there was somebody that would say, oh, that was great that they did that to you. I mean, you're playing their game, you tried to fool them, whatever. Who tried to fool who? I was spending money on the credit cards. I'm not trying to fool anyone. They approved my authorized users. I mean, whatever the case, I'm not going to open that subject again, but I would love for these people one day to be somewhere stranded because they canceled the credit cards without warning, and then please email me and say, oh, they canceled my credit cards and now I think it's fair because I'm stranded in Colombia and now I can't go back home because I have no credit cards and I don't know, they took my money. This summer's vacations are paid with only points, 16%. A combination of points and cash, 69%. Only cash, 15%. For this summer, in my case, we are between only cash and a combination of points and cash, depending how you see it. Yes, some points, but mainly cash. Unfortunately, I didn't do good enough management with new credit cards, and I need to start that cycle all over again with my wife. So that's where we at right now. If I had to pick one of the two, Hilton Aspire or Venture X, 59% say Venture X, 41% the Hilton Aspire. My option would be the Hilton Aspire, but I can see why you wouldn't pick the Aspire because, again, it's very specific. The Venture X has transfer partners. It's a flexible currency. But for somebody that likes Hilton and likes to spend money on the hotels, I mean, the Hilton Aspire is a no-brainer. We've done the numbers. It's not even close with the Venture X. But, again, if you don't like them, if hotels are not important to you, if you go to Airbnbs or whatever, then of course the Venture X is the better credit card. Plus, it's not an Amex. That means it's accepted everywhere. When I go to Greece, I must visit 35% Athens, 4% Rhodes, 52% Santorini, 8% Meteora. I would say Santorini is by far the most well-known place in Greece, but it's overcrowded, especially in the summer months. If you want to go after September or before June to have some enjoyment out of it. But there's so many beautiful places like Meteora and Rhodes and Corfu that I don't have in this list that are excellent. You could go and enjoy. I think the more these places that people know, like Santorini and Mykonos, Athens even, get more and more crowded, they get more and more expensive, and people will start going for alternatives. And hopefully those will be some of the ones I have here. Meteora are excellent. Rhodes is excellent. So many different things to see. Greece is not only what you imagine with the white little marble homes with the blue domes. There's so much more to see. If the Hilton Aspire had $650 annual fee, I would still get it 18%. Just get the Platinum 34%. Get another cheaper hotel credit card 48%. I would personally ask the question first, does it offer anything extra? And in what style? If it's a Hilton style that is very useful and pushes the envelope, then I would still get it. If it's Amex style and it gives me something that's it's little by little every month, then I wouldn't get it because that gets old with American Express. The Platinum, that's an option for some, but most likely I would just get other cheaper hotel credit cards because those make sense every day of the week. As long as they have one anniversary night, they all make sense. We've done the numbers before. So, yeah, unfortunately, I would even go for maybe the Surpass Hilton. So, yeah. The best airline credit card is Delta Reserve, 45%, United Infinite, 12%, American Airlines Executive, 19%, Southwest Priority, 24%. And if I wanted to be realistic here, I would say the best for most people would be the Southwest Priority, if Southwest is your cup of tea, of course. especially if you're flying within the US or the 10 countries that it flies close to the US, then yes, the Southwest priority always makes sense. You can easily have all your value with just one round trip. So, but of course, the experience is not the same as with a Delta flight. And if you travel within the continental US and you can find value on the companion pass that goes up to first class, then I can see why the Delta Reserve is the better credit card. We've done the numbers. It's an excellent credit card as long as you know you travel within the 48 states, continental state. I'm sure I can get more value with a jack of all trades credit card, a good trifecta, 74% for the trifecta, 26% for the jack of all trades credit card. I would go with a trifecta any day of the week. We've done numbers. We know that in general, trifectas are much better. Now, some of you don't like having a bunch of credit cards, get anxious, don't know what to use in what case, or don't want to remember, don't want to get into that. So a jack of all trades credit card is still a valuable option. Now, many of you came back to this and said, oh, but not the Venture X or not the Sapphire trifecta. Well, we're not talking about the specifics here about what I'm showing in picture. I got this as an example. I say jack of all trades or a trifecta. That's it. It could be any trifecta, any jack of all trades credit card. The best no annual fee credit card is Freedom Flex, 33%, Custom Cash, 40%, Discover It, 5%, and the Amex Blue Cash every day, 22%. Personally, I would always go with a Custom Cash if it's a standalone credit card. But if I knew I have a Sapphire card, therefore I can transfer to travel partners, especially Hyatt, I would go with the Freedom Flex because that's where I get all my value. The Discover It is very underrated. I see that even with the videos we've done with the Discover It, people don't seem to appreciate this credit card, and it's crazy to me because it's a very solid, straightforward credit card, which is something that you appreciate, guys, when we're talking about something like the Venture X, but not in this case. The American Express Blue Cash Every Day is a cashback credit card. It doesn't give you points. So I don't know how it's getting 22% and the Discover It only gets 5%, especially knowing that for the first year, it gives you 10% back, basically 5 plus 5. So when traveling, I like to spend most on flights, 6%, hotel, 28%, food, 39%, experiences, 26%. I would put all of these in the same order. I would put 0 on the flights because I try to get there as cheap as I can. I can take 10 hours even in a coach flight. I can just take a nap, wake up, go pee once, take another nap. I'm there. And now I have all the time, all the money, and all the energy to just go to a nice hotel, go to have experiences, eat good food. I mean, that's what travel is all about. I would need to make a whole lot more than what I make for me to justify something like a first or business class. I wouldn't even spend my points on this kind of situations. I would put it towards a nice hotel upgrade. But that's just me. Last but not least, do you have or want children? Yes, 64%. No, 36%. And I would say my answer is clear. I have kids, and I'm expecting one more. So yes, I'm asking this because I have a video in mind. Later, I want to do a video that I did much earlier in this channel, about a year and a half ago, and almost 2 years at this point, talking about thinking outside the box. I talk to people all the time and they tell me how hard they have it to go study, to get degrees. They discard the idea of getting a degree because of the cost. They don't want to get student loans, talking about ways to cover daycare costs and things like that. So I'm asking this as a step for another video, so I'm not going to comment anymore on that. But that's all for today, guys. Let me know what you voted on these ones. Do you like this kind of questions? Do you want to see other kinds of questions? Thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, ciao.